Hello and welcome to AdamaCon August 2024. That's kind of what this is. So it's not really a recap of the stuff we're doing. It's not really a recap of the fan film rendering stuff going on, because it isn't really an after show. It's not of that because it's not in the can yet, the two stories. So here on the set of this little thing here on the trans original set. Yes, Calcat's thing. Just shooting the stuff about AdamaCon, questions and answers, Q&A, all that stuff. Don't actually have anything written down for that, but we'll do whatever we're doing. I've been talking a lot about these two Star Trek stories in production, the PL one, the Fictional Adventures one, and went over that with the making of there. So Star Trek is probably the first thing I want to hear about. We're completing the second season of On Location Legacy, Starship Locations Legacy, because they their fans liked last season, so we ordered up a second season. Unlike some of the stuff on Discovery, Star Trek, where they don't really need a second season. Later on in the year, we're going to have the finale of Lower Decks. We'll cover that and do an episode rundown and stuff. And then after that, Strange New Worlds. And after that, Section 31 somewhere in there. But yeah, for the Star Trek people, we'll cover it. We'll watch it. And yeah. But we haven't been watching Star Wars stuff at all, so yes, any questions about the Acolyte? I have not seen it. I've heard about it, I've seen reviews of it and all that, and all I was saying on the making of the tape as well is the haters are sure that it was canceled because they themselves caused it to go away. It was not canceled. They never intended to make a season 2. That's what I hear from the grapevine. I don't care if that one of those two trade magazines said, "Oh, it was completely canceled." It was never a thing. There wasn't a script. There wasn't a story for Acolyte Season 2. They didn't write one. It was a one-shot serial. That's it. 8 episodes. So, no, it was not canceled. That's all. It wasn't canceled. Lower Decks has been canceled, but they're going to air the 5th season anyway. Prodigy, Star Trek Prodigy was canceled, but picked up because they finished the 2nd season. It was done. It was wrapped. They aired that on Netflix. And Calcat show can take the credit for some of that. A little bit of it, a little percentage of a percent. Put it on Netflix. It was my idea. And me and who knows how many other people's. But it was one of my ideas. But yeah, it's on Netflix. Nickelodeon anyway, so yeah, Star Trek stuff. We alternate when we do our fan film shows between Star Trek and Transformers or Robotech. We did Robotech back then. Now we're doing Legacy Season 2, as a result of the convention that just happened, which had some of the Next Generation people, some Voyager and DS9, would they be doing an homage to that legacy of Star Trek? There is nothing yet. But I'll go with what the stars said at their thing. The stars are not in this, obviously. It's fan film. But if there's going to be one, and it's going to have some of them in it, if you were familiar with the GalaxyCon thing that happened, you'll which is going to go up on the main channel is GalaxyCon. But it's now, and it's on the main channel now. Yeah, as the raw versions of it, uncut, but commentary. We couldn't show any of the stars or the panels. There's no panels on. I didn't get to do my panel, so here it is. Here's my panel. Here I am. Would have been interesting. The Konguk. DiMaggio and Weird Al as well, and John Cleese. Many of the modern an older comedian together. They're all older. Weird Al's older than me. Yeah, all those guys are older than me. Yeah, so some of them mentioned they're millennials or boomers, whatnot. No, all that. They know who they are. So yeah. Yeah, so they know who they are. It's unclear. We've been over the CalCat version of how that goes with the millennial thing. But we don't need to do that here. There's really, really brief, just to say, so roughly 1945, 1946, end of World War II. That's anybody born in the middle of the 40s is a baby boomer. And 18 to 20 years after that, it's the 60s. So mid-60s, early to mid-60s, that's the beginning of the X generation, early to mid-60s. So thus, 1982 is not the beginning of Generation Y, or Generation, Y. Y mean generation, the millennials. It's a little later. It's like 85, 86, to make it match up with the others, because if you add them up correctly, you end up with all of us coming of age a little after that, like at 86 or 87 or so, 88. We wouldn't have been having children at 13. No, we would have been having children at 18, 19, 20. Hopefully we'll not be having children at 13, 18 or 19. So no, the mid-80s. It's when that, mid-80s. So then you go to mid-80s. So guys like William Shatner, Robert Picardo, all those guys, John Cleese, they're baby boomers. Yes. Will Wheaton is of the X generation. Terry Farrell is on the cusp. She's technically a late baby boomer. But she could count herself as a millennial if she wants. I'm not a millennial. An X generation if she wants to, but she's probably not. She's a baby boomer. Interestingly enough, though, Nicole DeBauer is an X generation, right in the middle of the X generation. With Will Wheaton, she's not the same age. Then you come to DiMaggio is probably in that same group. He's X generation. The guy's in his 50s. Weird Al is older. Weird Al's a boomer. He's actually not younger than us. He's older. He's a boomer. Madonna is technically a boomer, a late boomer. Right? All those rockers, late baby boomer. Now, all those guys, if they're over 60, they're a baby boomer. Now, if they're 50 something, they're still X generation, up until about 58. Then they're a boomer. So, yes, but we'll say Terry is still 30 years old, even though it's been 33 years since that, and 30 years since Deep Space Nine. Well, let's just say that. Okay, that's fine. That's good for 60. Or, so it's cool. So there's a mix-up later on with the generations. Might as well go into the generations. Why not? It's my thing. It's my podcast. Do whatever I want, right? Rantcast. Rantcast is a thing. Yeah, I don't have AI-generated gunk in the background. I don't have stuff in the background because, well, for one thing, YouTube would flag it immediately. Another thing is that I don't need that. Background? Fine. Go. Yeah, I don't need it. So. So yeah. That means that roughly the mid-80s to the mid-2000s is the Y generation, or the Why Me generation. It's wrong in the commentary on the generations. It's wrong in the book by Mr. Freeze. It's wrong in the book. No, it's not right. It's not 82. It's 86. It has to be 86 because we were not 12 or 13 when the next generation came of age. We weren't. That's just weird. No, 86. 86, yeah. 85, 86. Which would make technically my closest nephew would technically be a millennial, but he calls himself a next generation person. He's a late millennial. I would make one of my closest nieces, Sarah. That would make her 1997. That would make her a millennial, and Phil, their nephew, a millennial as well. So yes. Yes. The actress who plays Raktag on Prodigy, who is 13, she is a Z, Generation Z person, Gen Z, born around 2010 or so, 2011. That's Gen Z. Now they've mixed that up a little bit because people can't add very well. So after 2006, 2005, 2004, 5 to 2007, roughly, that is the tail end of the millennials, because it's after the millennium by 7 years. It's after the millennium. It's millennials. The millennials don't start on the millennium. The millennials start in the late 80s because they're technically the pre-millennials, you see. And the separation is not the year. It's the zeitgeist that happens during the year. It's not that the events of 9/11 changed that generation and started the generation over as if 10 years of everyone's life suddenly disappeared, and it kind of zapped the Why Me generation into the Zoomer generation. No, that's not what happened. They just don't know how to add. So 2006 to 2026, 2005 to 2025, if you want, is the Why Me generation. Why? Generation. Gen X, Gen Y. No, wait, I didn't do that right. The Why Me generation, that's right, are the millennials. That's right. Okay, let me fix that. The Why Me generation is the millennials. 1986 to 2006. The Why Me generation. Right. Yeah, it's the millennials. Why Me generation. They're called that because their X-generation parents seem to not give them anything. That's why they're the Why Me generation. They're not Zoomers yet. They might have used Zoom, but they're not Zoomers yet. No. That's the next one. And it's not alphabetical anyway. Why me Z alpha? That's stupid. It's not. No. It's much more simple to say millennials ending in 2005 and post-millennials and starting in 2005, 2006. Because they, too, would not be 10 or 11 when they had, or 12 when they had children. Lining up with that nephew who had his first in 2010. Yes, the Donovan is 14. He is a Z generation, a Zoomer generation, not an A generation. He's a Z. He's a Z generation, born in 2010. He will come of age as of 2020. 2027, 2028, somewhere around there, and then he will be, his children will be the next generation. That's how it works. Generations, legacy, right? So it's all connected to legacies. That's how it would work. So yeah, the Why Me generation, the generation after X is Y. The Why Me millennials, right? The generation after that, 2005 to 2025, that is the Z generation, the Zoomers. 2005 to 2025, they are of course not having children in 2010. They would be too young to be having children in 2010, 2012, 2013. No, about 2018, 2020, no, a little later. Because if they were born in 2000, or if they were born in 2000 and now it's 2028, sure that, now they have to be having kids by 2018. So the Zoomers, 2006 to 2026, they come of age around 2024, right now. So if they were born in 2006, and they'd be having kids, but those other ones before or how. So Why Me and the Zoomers get mixed together, basically. 2010 is roughly the cutoff. I'll say, okay, 2010 is the cutoff. 2006, it should be a little earlier for them. It should be the cutoff, 2006. But those kids that were born in 2006 to 2010, they were not going to be of age until the late 2020s, right? So now it's the late 2020s or the mid 2020s. They're not of age yet. But yeah, his niece, grandniece, yeah, definitely alpha generation. Yeah, the Zoomers are the post-millennials after the millennials. The Zoomers are the post-millennials. If the millennials are calling themselves Zoomers too, that's wrong. The post-millennials are teenagers now. They're not quite of age, but almost. They're teenagers now. Not quite ready for prime time. And that's how it works. And those post-millennials will be the people who go on to Mars, not us. No. They'll go to Mars. They'll explore space. There's not enough exploring space. It's like all those old science fiction stories that are like Segway. It's not as much. You can explore space. Yeah. To get to Mars, you need to have a moon base. You need to have established, like, not just a space station, two. You want a space hotel, like in 2001. You want several space stations. You want redundant and repairable vehicles to go and do all that. You want mass-produced the vehicles so they can do all that. You want the space colonies, all of the Expanse. Only seen one episode of it. It's very similar to Destiny. And you want established space infrastructure. So if something goes wrong, you have three other things you can whip out and go save them. You want space infrastructure. You're not going to get it from Elon Musk or this other guy. They're just in it for the money. They're not going to do that. You want your moon base set up so that with the full attributes, gas, fuel, whatever they need, and you have to set it up. They're on the moon, big moon bases, a couple of them, manufacturing space things in space, because you would launch the ship from the moon, so that you wouldn't need to use the Earth's gravity at all. You say, it's in orbit of the moon, and it's nearly weightless. Weightless in the sense that it's gravity. Yeah. So, yeah, as Neil deGrasse Tyson, the physicist, pointed out, it's not really weightless. You're still weigh the same. It's gravity that's lighter because you're further away from the center of the Earth. So, yeah. Anyway. I'm blaming spaced up. Yes. Yes, there is a Transformers fan in the cast, but I don't think he does voice work. So, yeah. We are there. Yes, there is one, but doesn't do voice work. It doesn't want to be on it, I don't think, in any of these. I haven't come up with another Transformer story, although in the terms of the Mush universe, they're now in 2032, because they've gone on a little bit ahead into the future to show some of the Robotech stuff in that last episode. Kind of to fix the mess that was the second story in the Transformers Legacy. We want to fix that by saying, that was the primes and the Qs, and they were screwing with it. So they did the sideways universe thing, only more clever than Lost did, to fix that. So here's when the Robotech people show up. I don't need Silver Hunter coming home again and do Space Bridge again. We wanted to do something other than what had already been done. So, they go on an adventure because the space gods need them. They go do that, do this, do that. Let's see, what's the other one? Have you seen Alien Romulus? No, it just came out. And what would your idea for an Alien movie that doesn't suck? Actually, I was trying to come up with one of these this morning. My idea for an Alien movie that doesn't suck, and would never get to produce it because they would never do it. I made a short story series called "Kick Some Assets," and I did a Junks One spoof of that, and I also did a McDonald's spoof of that, David Buster spoof of that. Many of those that were not used in the Chimera storybooks. But do that for an Alien story, in that sort of the elements of the Judge Dredd and the Tower of the Siege thing, and which kind of developed into the Judge Dredd thing. So I couldn't use it because they think I'm ripping off Judge Dredd 2. Like, no, I thought of it before you guys did. Yeah, I can't prove it, but no, I think everybody since 9 to 5 with Dolly Parton back in the day. So the idea is That's what always kind of annoyed me about Resident Evil as well. It's kind of the same idea. Super mega corporation from the distant past is running everything. It's a conspiracy. And every movie, the hero's defeated in the first. I know it's serialized. I get the gag. They're doing the '30s adventure serials, but in reverse, so they can be angsty, and be mid-2000s angst. Yeah, I get what they're doing. I get it. But it's just not interesting to just keep beating the audience down until the final boss story with the final corporation getting blown up. No, blow them up early. Yes. So my idea for an alien story, going back to that, is you have a trailer which shows the Weyland-Yutani Corporation from the Alien series, and it's under attack by the Xenomorphs. They are attacking the building, and the Space Marines are called in to defend the building. There's your hook. Why don't they do that? Not a prison planet, not a clone thing, although there is a clone in it. Not a clone thing, not a space goo thing, not engineers. No, or fake engineers on the planet that David Robot nuked, because the David Robot was clearly my oldest nephew. No, not really. Fastbender was not my nephew, but he was playing a character like a character one of my nephews played in high school. Very similar to that character. It was like scary similar. Sort of like how another nephew, Johnny, was very similar to Tom Hardy from Star Trek Nemesis. Not so much Bane from Batman, but Star Trek Nemesis. And he acknowledged that and said, "Oh yeah, I was totally doing that. Yeah, I could have played Tom Hardy for Halloween." Now it wouldn't make sense. It's like 20 years later, no one get it. But but he could play. I said you could play Venom. The guy from Venom is the same guy. I could do that. Yeah. Yeah, he could play. Yeah, he could play. What was the guy in Venom? Brock, Eddie Brock. Yeah. Same actor. It's Tom Hardy. My nephew is not Tom Hardy. My nephew just looks like one of my nephews looks like Tom Hardy. Yeah. But yes, I look a little bit like Robbie McNeil and confusing people at convention. Even this one. But yes. But I had a mask on most of the time. So that was me. But yes. And I lost the Star Spangled Hat from the mascot thing. Hat disappeared. It's gone. Yeah. So the convention. So the alien idea is they're attacking the Weyland-Yutani Corporation, and in the trailer they show this sort of evil boss Mangate guy, and he's like sitting at his desk, and it's like a space desk because it's like the future. It's like after Aliens, basically. At some point after Aliens, and the boss guy. It's in the trailer that this one boss gets killed because he's the red herring. And this other boss is like, they found the black goo, and he's like playing with it over on his desk like it's one of those little things going back and forth, a little abacus thing. He's screwing around with it, and a fucking xenomorph bursts in, rips his head off, just tears his fucking head off in the trailer. That should happen, and they're like, "Oh my god! You get past security. It doesn't want to lay eggs in him. It just wants to kill his ass." Because the evil. I think that working class people that watch these sci-fi movies would get a kick out of that, seeing like the evil boss guy from Weyland-Yutani finally, after well over 35, 45 years, get his ass whooped. We don't know who he was, but now we're going to see the faceless boss of the thing. And he gets cacked and it's a red herring, because later on there's another boss to have some fun with. But yeah, there's always a final boss in the movie. This is an idea for an alien movie. It's not Romulus at all. I'm sure it's not. And so they kill him. They send in the Marines to take the base back. So the Space Marines have like a haunted building attack alien thing. Better than that Jurassic Park haunted house movie. Jurassic World stupid thing. Because what the alien fans wanted is what the Dark Horse comics did. Go to Earth and fucking just destroy everything. That's what we want to see. An alien invasion with xenomorphs, like just jacking stuff up. Starting with the building. planet's a mess. The xenomorphs are running around. They hold up a hive in the tower, the building, a la Robotech, the invasion. They're standing there in the hive. They gotta go in there in the hive and blow it up. There's your hook. Now I get to the final boss in the story idea. I don't know what the rest of it's about. This final boss, that's just up when I woke up. The final boss is Sigourney Weaver, who's been cast as one of the clones of Sigourney Weaver to be like the underboss who's behind the whole thing, which would totally make sense. In fact, the earlier red herring boss should literally be played by Ridley Scott, who gets his head tore off. He's playing the Black Goo. It should cast Ridley Scott, not that they killed Ridley Scott, but the character that he's playing. I'm going to play the evil boss guy. And then, I think he'd get a kick out of that. And then, Sigourney Weaver's the underboss at the end, and she's like, you haven't stopped us yet. And then, like the alien pathomorph creatures, the other ones come in, they can talk. And they're all like, yes, well, why didn't... she's all aggravated. She's all, why did the underboss get killed? And they're all like, well, why didn't it get face huggers inside it and stuff? And they're all like, oh, it didn't want the boss because he's an asshole. Didn't want the boss. He's an asshole. And unlike that silly, I understand that in this new movie, somebody utters the line, "Get away from her, you bitch," but says it really nonplussed. Like he's bored of saying the line. He literally says, "Get away from her, you bitch." He literally says it like that. It's like, what? Why did you utter that line if you didn't want to say it? The joke can be twisted around, because the way to do that joke is the talking alien bishop thing shows up at the end and goes, "You bitch, get away from her." It's like, see, that would be cool. I'd be like, oh shit, okay. Yeah, and at some point, someone has to do the Dark Horse comics, and right on a wall in fake blood, Darwin was right on the wall. Right out of the Dark Horse comics, Alien vs. Predator. Do that. And don't do another Alien vs. Predator movie. No. Alien vs. Freddy Krueger. Yeah. Don't do that. I'm kidding. But, no. That's my idea for Alien. Alien Revelations. Or Alien Doomsday. But maybe it would be similar to Marvel. Alien, yeah. End of Times. Alien Darwin was right. In the End of Times. It's kind of Frank Miller stuff. Huh? Yeah. Don't do Liefeld, though, or their hands would be really tiny. Yeah. There's H.R. Giger was that guy doing stuff in that. Yeah. Boss is dead. Long live the boss. One of them is to say that too. Oh, the king is dead. Long live the queen. Boom. They'd like run down like, Yeah, that should happen in the final boss scene when the other hero lady, isn't that hero lady shows up? Maybe another Ripley clone shows up to fight the guy. Cool. And then she says that line, "Long live the queen." Blasts her off the roof of the building. Like, That'd be cool. Hey, Ridley, here's my idea for an alien movie. It'll kick ass. It'll absolutely kick ass. Yeah, harken back to like the Aliens, and Cameron. A little bit like the Cameron one, but a little bit like Assault on Precinct 13 crossed with The Heist. And the Hidden Fortress. You gotta go back to the old school roots of the story, which I understand this new movie kind of does, but kind of loses about halfway through. The critics love it because they've only seen like 10 minutes of it. I will have to see it and review it, but only after rendering these two movies and getting them going. Up there, they're on the thing. But yeah, Yeah, Alien 3 sucked. It was weird. Yeah. Alien and Aliens. Yeah, and it's like and the Prometheus and the other one, Covenant, were a mess too, but for different reasons. Why would the computer technology go backwards? Makes sense. But anyways, let's see what else is there. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I was just quoting the sort of adding to the quotes by John DiMaggio, who's played Bender on, and a number of other characters, but Bender on Futurama. I said, who would win in? Somebody asked in the audience of a convention who would win in a fight between Optimus Prime, Bender, and the Iron Giant. And said on the other thing, well, the Iron Giant was dead in the other movie and probably defeated rather quickly, but Optimus Prime would be defeated in a different way because, well, the Futurama takes place in the 31st century, and the robots in that are more advanced than Transformers, even though they look sillier. They're more advanced. They're super advanced compared to them. So he could just shut him down with his mind. But they wouldn't even fight. He'd go, oh no, it's Bender. Ah! Poof, and his head would explode. Because they're super advanced. They just defeat him. And this is coming from a ultra Transformers expert dork fish nerd. I was like, yeah, the Transformers wouldn't stand a chance against Bender and the robots in that show. That they wouldn't because, they're so advanced. Yeah. They're like the Vok. And DiMaggio did play Perceptor, so in the one of the newer ones, I think it was the Robots in Disguise remake, I think is what he played him. But yeah, it's like I didn't see the remake, so I did see Earthspark, and somebody's asking, oh, the Earthspark, would you get the transgendered Transformer toy? Can you comment on that? I would like to get that toy. That would be cool. Nightshade. That'd be cool to have. It's sort of a nod to the early fandom characters like Windblade and Night Racer. Kind of the same idea, that'd be kind of cool to have. And Raksha and all that. Yeah, that'd be great. If they make the figure, I'll buy it. They've made the figure of the other two, but other three smaller ones, the Terrans. But that would be cool if they ever make one. I understand that the controversy was stupid because they were complaining about an episode they hadn't seen. Of course, that's how controversy works, and that when they aired the episode, it was quite tasteful. And they had nothing to worry about because, that episode did air a year after they were complaining about it. And I saw it, and I reviewed it, one of the episodes. It was the one where they go to the Philadelphia, or they go to the city, and Nightshade meets a transhuman, who is a transhuman, transsexual human. And they have a talk about the nature of being trans. It's a sweet scene. It's cute. People are dumb. There's nothing wrong with that scene at all. They're just having talk about how overshadowing the parts of the movie where the town is trying to attack the Transformers because they think they're Decepticons, which was actually very creative. The Transformers go home, in that scene. I was actually underscoring that. The message of the story was tolerance. They don't like that. Right? They don't like that. It's tolerance. It's woke, and they say Star Trek's gone woke too. And talk about that. Star Trek has always been woke. It's always been woke. From that way they define it. It's always been about tolerance and acceptance. And since the original Star Trek, they were making stories about the Vietnam era, but it was like Klingons and humans. They were making stories where they had multi-racial crews on the ship. For the 60s, that was groundbreaking, as some of the other Trek people said at that convention, including Shatner at the convention. Yeah, that was groundbreaking. Nobody done that before. Nobody put not just even back then in the military, women were not on the bridge. They were even making that joke in G.I. Joe. Women on the bridge. Oh my God, the bridge of my aircraft carrier. Yeah, women were not on the bridge, certainly in the military. That's messed up. No, who's going to fly the ships? So yeah, Gene Roddenberry, the humanist, a little bit of a womanizer, but a humanist too. And it was the '60s, and and a veteran and all that. And he wanted to include everybody on the ship. He went so far as not only including a woman on the bridge, but she's a communications officer, bringing all the signals and stuff. He put a Russian on the bridge, which back then, during the middle of the Cold War, it's unthinkable. Oh my God, there's a Russian guy on the ship, little young Russian guy, who is a reflection of that. Chekhov. There's a Japanese guy on the ship. 20 years after World War II, a Japanese guy. Oh, that's unthinkable. Yes, Sulu and George Takei would have been unthinkable in American television. Groundbreaking, woke inclusion of the crew here. You have Spock, who represents basically the fandom in a sense. He's an alien, half human alien, Spock, the Vulcan, and he represents the fandom, and he represents the outsider, somebody struggling with their differences. I mean, groundbreaking for the '60s. Woke. Absolutely. But yeah, there's a free speech movement. It's like, oh, Leonard Nimoy. And Shatner and Nimoy are both Jewish, so it wouldn't have any anti-Semitic stuff. Yeah, Deep Space and Next Generation and Deep Space Nine continued that with their legacy. Let me see how much. Oh yeah, okay. Next Generation continued that with putting the Klingon adversaries, who were kind of Sino-Chinese, Russian archetypes anyway, the Klingons. This made them more space Vikings than the new one. Next Generation. Now it's not new, but 35 years ago. Yeah, they made the Klingons their friends. They put the Klingon on the ship. And Geordi LaForge was based on a guy from conventions, Geordi LaForge. But that guy was in a wheelchair, and he was from the '70s conventions, and they named a character after so he is the fan that's reflecting the whole story when he's watching. Geordi LaForge, but they made him be blind, but with a special visor, which was rumored to have been a air filter ornament that had been stripped off and hot glued together into a connector thing in the end, cut in half. It really did look like a air filter from a car. It probably wasn't, but it looked like one. It was a prop, but yeah. We'll find out. There's so you can watch the prop guy talk about that. But I don't need to go into that. But yeah, they had woman doctor on the ship, woman security chief. That was Denise Crosby was at the convention. The first woman security chief. Lasted one season, but hey, because they switched red shirt with yellow shirt. So she was a yellow shirt, and she was going to die eventually. Because the red shirts would die in the original track all the time. But yeah, she comes back as an alien. Other things. Yeah, there wasn't as much diversity because early on they were going to make the Geordi character who was blind gay. He was going to be homosexual. And they decided, let's not do that in season 2. Let's just make him straight. It's kind of what I'm riffing on in them doing that, not the gay part. Them doing that in the Picard LaForge story and the fan film. Let's make fun of that the studio was doing that to him, and let's have him just be what he is. He's in his universe. His character remained gay and married Picard. Because sure, why not? Sure, in that universe, it's fine. Does all inclusive. Deep Space Nine included some inclusive characters, not as much, but it was the '90s, so they could get away with it and have Ezri Dax be the first technically trans person on Star Trek in fiction. There were other gay characters, but they were usually stereotypes. Andrew Robinson played Garrick like he was gay, or at least pansexual or something. I think he was a little gay. And he said so at old conventions. He's like, yeah, I was playing my character like that. And they let me do it, But yeah, it's like, you figure in Hollywood, you're all a little bi. You just have to be in Hollywood. They're all like that. So, but they chickened out because they had done that earlier Trill episode where Dr. Crusher's boyfriend is a Trill and he gets changed into a girl, and that freaked her out Next Generation. A couple of years later, they do a DS9 one where they have Dax have a girlfriend, but it's shocking because it was an ex-boyfriend, and there's like hot girls in cat suits kissing each other. That really wasn't. That didn't work because it was hot girls having a kissing scene. So it's like, no, that's not the message you want to portray there. You want to portray them as a loving couple. That's the thing, and that would be progressive as opposed to the other thing. Of course, the reverse of that is a character like the '90s comic book character from Evergreen, Captain Estrogen, one of my creations, who is completely just okay. He's confused in the sense that he's an alien from space, so he doesn't know the word means something else, but he kind of does, and he's bi, and he calls himself Captain Estrogen even though he's a male, because he identifies apparently as a female. That's very progressive for the '90s. I didn't know I was doing that. I just wanted this bizarre lizard character, James Blish, A Case of Conscience. But now, and they include him in the fan film, and I was like, well, yeah, he kind of knows, like with a wink, kind of knows what that means. So he's trans. Yeah, Esto is trans. Definitely, it's right in the name. He says, "Oh, it's in the name." So he's trans. I'm sure there'd be a snarky right winger going, "Oh, you're LGBTQ friendly, evil, just no, bi in there somewhere. This is bi, and that's okay. That's fine. It's not practicing, just this bi. But yeah, so yeah, that's fine. So bi. But identify as male. I'm not a cis male. I'm bi. Oh my. These are the characters. Calicat characters. Anyway, so yeah. Oh my. Identify as male. Not cis. Because he's bi. Oh my. Not ew in a gross way. Or derogatory way, but ew, and oh my, ew. I want to know more. That sort of way. It's like, oh my, like Sulu would say. Yeah. Although George Takei was kind of freaked out that they included the gay Sulu reference in those Abrams movies, which are their own separate timeline. They really are. And also, Star Trek Discovery is a separate timeline. So Strange New Worlds is a separate timeline. That's why it looks different. The fans are complaining, oh, the ship doesn't quite look the same and all that. Characters aren't acting the same. They don't act quite human. It's a different timeline. All of that's a different timeline. In fact, the Picard show is a different timeline. And I kind of try to explain that in Star Trek Legacy, in my Starship Legacy series, by having them say, well, of course it is. Not only that, the Picard show is set in the Picard LaForge timeline. It is, because yeah, you have Sam Clerk and Picard, his second husband, and Picard, and you have them doing their thing. It was Picard LaForge timeline. So in this one they reference back to that, like, oh yes, my Picard, but the other Picard, slightly altered timeline. Somebody turned left instead of right. Somebody turned fruity instead of straight, and everything became wonderful for them. Now, as for underutilized characters in Star Trek sci-fi, as we've also done fan films, Tam and Kestra were rather underutilized until Legacy, but now they've got a lot of stuff. So cool. So they did a lot. Discovery. I'm using ums. Discovery. That was trying to be inclusive by including at least 4 lesbians on the ship, freaking everyone out. Yeah, and then backpedaling over that, including introducing a gender-fluid character and her boyfriend. Odd. Nothing against the Blue Depario at all, or the Ethan Alexander. Ian Alexander, the actress that played them. Gray and Nadira. In fact, Javan Tal, their ancestor, is on the ship, and he dies during Legacy, and then he gets reborn as Tamara Tal. The symbiote gets put in Tamara Tal. So but then they screwed that up too, because they said he only had 7 hosts, and it's set 800 years later. He'd have more than 7 hosts. In that 800 years, he'd have 7 hosts, but clearly they show him his second and third host in the 2404 uniform, 2401 uniform, 2400 uniform, Javin Tall. And if that's the case, then 2400 to 2190, that makes no sense. That's the 700 years. So they should have said he had 12 hosts instead of 7. So for 300 years or 400 years or so, at some point, they're going to have to be on that generation ship for hundreds of years floating around just to fix that for 300 years or so. So they can say it was 7 hosts. Because Adira is the 7th. So technically, Gray was the 6th. The Admiral was the 5th. So yeah. Yeah. And then Gray is supposed to be the host. The Trill being the trans symbiote character. They couldn't just have a trans character who's gender fluid. They had to have it be an alien transgender character. And then they didn't do anything with them, because they couldn't figure out what to do with them. Well, my fan film series figured out what to do with characters like that. How they have epiphanies and grow and evolve and friends and things like that, and have them do things. They didn't do that on Discovery. They didn't do that for a lot of the characters. Have them show up again in the finale and say, "Oh, I've broken up with you." It's like, what? Why? That's stupid. Don't do that. That was odd. Just like, why even introduce him if you're not going to do anything with it? Yeah, so, yeah. You do something with that. It's stupid they didn't do anything with it. They should have. They could have. Would be interesting stories about that. Then they had that Locke and they tried to do it with Locke and Maul, the alien, the Breen, and the other one in there. And and that kind of didn't work there either, because she's a Cillian lady, clearly. And although it is hilarious that they reference Booker's planet several times as Kwaijon, which is Korean for Kwaijon Kim, which is the original name of the Grandmaster, Taeon Kim. And that's hilarious, because and Sue Cal and Cal are in it. Like, guys, just hire us. We'll get the names right at least. They had a Cal in there. It wasn't me. They should have cast me in there. That would be great. Fly me up to Canada and I'll be in your scene. The Picard show. I knew they were filming in 2024 down there in LA, I would have been there. Maybe in the dining, that short episode in the diner scene or something. They cut all scenes out. That's why it's short. They cut all Cal Cat's scenes. He was sitting there. They just cut it out. They're like, yeah, we can't use that. He's just rambling about Star Trek in there, your fan film and stuff. But it would be. It's supposed to be 2024. I totally do. Figured all the plot holes in our Picard season 2. Picard season 3, they made it all dark inside. They did not learn their lessons from the other shows, and they made it all dark, and literally physically dark. Corridors and the bridge and everything. Why is everything dark? Those older guys can't see around and all that stuff. They trip and fall. Why is it dark? I mean, just because, it's fake con. Yeah, it was another con thing. They did it a little more creative. They included a Cillian, an Elysian from Silly Trek in there. They were thinking of us. Yeah. Vadic is a Cillian character. Very obviously shapeshifter Cillian character. So to kill her silly by freezing and thawing her out in space. It's kind of fun. And that kind of didn't go anywhere, because originally the story was going to be they were going to do the bluegills inside the changelings. But then they realized they'd have to pay royalties to not only the bluegill guy that wrote that, but the Planet of the Tribbles fan film thing that David Gerald approved of. Incidentally, that fan film. He gave us a script and we filmed it. We added to it. And we added about half an hour to it. And a queen, because there had to be a triple queen. He's like, that actually makes it funnier. Yeah, I thought it would be. Should sound like divine. But yes, so Yeah, he did approve of that. Yeah, at the conventions, he was at the other two conventions. He approved of that. And he saw it, and the triple guy. So, no NDA because it's not for profit. So, yeah, that's how you do your fan films. So, just don't do Blood and Fire, is what he said. I wouldn't tackle Blood and Fire. No, not the Space AIDS episode. I wouldn't do that because how would I film that? It wouldn't work. Now that's what they kind of should do with that silly thing in Star Trek Strange New Worlds. The Gorn are not aliens from Alien and they come out of you and birth out of your arm or your head or something. That's stupid. No, those are Regulon bloodworms. So it's the plot of the Space AIDS story, the Regulon bloodworms. Those should not be Gorn. There's infected Gorn. They have Regulon bloodworms. No, go back and fix that, Star Trek. Fix that. That's not correct. That's not what they should be. They're just infected with something. It's not real Gorn. It's no, Regulon bloodworms. They're infected. Yeah, with something. We did 3 or 4 episodes about them being infected with something in our stories too. But yeah, so we sort of did kind of backhandedly do a Blood and Fire type of story with them being infected with the space virus. It makes them weird. But that could also be similar to The Naked Now and The Naked Time and Amok Time. So it could be that too. It's more of a spoof of Amok Times. I think we got away. So we didn't do Blood and Fire. We did our own thing. Yeah, fan films. There will be more. There'll definitely be more. And inspired by the Star Trek people at the convention. Those are the people that will appear in the story, well, as action figures. I don't think Weird Al or John Cleese will appear just because I don't have an action figure for them. But it'd be kind of funny that they did, because kind of reference the misheard songs and stuff. Yeah, so yeah, I did reshoot the never-ending story ending thing. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, Stranger Things. Yeah, somebody thought of it first. Yeah, it was in Fictional Adventures first. Yeah, in the '90s, long before Stranger Things was even a vision or anything. Yeah, a never-ending story song. There was a parody, and we never aired it. The lyrics for the parody are in the fan film, but they were never put up, and we never made the parody completed. We just came up with stuff on the fly. Eat It, however, was indeed one of ours. But the version that's up online is not. It's not us. That is different. That's not us. Whole Nude World, that is. The other version, the Cow. The live action one, that's somebody else. The one with the characters, that's somebody else. That's not us. Beauties into Beast, that's us. Yeah. But yes, let's see. Got a friend in me. Toy Story. So yeah. Reasons for things to happen when they happen and transform things or Robotech things. Yeah, there'll be more. We just haven't come up with anything. I'd like to do. Yeah, I would keep doing fan films. Yeah. Voice was messed up for 6 days, right during the convention, right in the middle of the convention. So there was no possibility of doing this panel. Here it is now. Yeah. I keep saying but get rid of the and then he immediately did the He did run off the stage really quick. Probably had to go to the bathroom because he's old. But yeah, I didn't stay for the Star Trek V read-along thing. It would have been $8 more, and it didn't have $8 more. Yeah, so yeah. But I'm going to do a scene that had been kicking around for years because Shatner was at the thing. I have when I ordered a bunch of those Star Trek figures, I was one of those people that went and got all the lots of all the loose Star Trek action figure Playmates figures from the early 2000s, including the Jetfires. That was me. I've snagged up a lot of them, and probably glutted the market. And there was I got a baggie full of Captain Kirk, Captain Kirk and the Monster Maroon. And I thought it would be funny, is to have, this is years ago, and I thought it would be funny someday. It's going to be a scene in which Captain Kirk is sort of like SNL. He's being waited on by himself, and pleasured by himself, and tended to by himself on his own bridge. He's gonna be like, the only person that can possibly serve me is me. So that gag needs to happen. That gag needs to be in this, maybe so. Smell something quite as pretentious as I am. Let's see how much. Oh my god. Oh my goodness. So this is just a one panel thing. Screwing around. Yeah. Who were the cast that initially inspired these legacy stories? Well, watch the legacy stories. Also, NDA, can't tell you who they actually are, because that'll ruin it if we have to bring them back. Can you say anything about the... Oh yeah, you say anything about the Daxes? You saw the Daxes at the convention. Oh yeah. Nicole DeBauer and Terry Farrell were at the convention, and neither of them said anything about the Julian Bashir thing. But Nicole DeBauer indicated that they were friends, but never anything else, unless you count the game, which is consistent with that. Whereas Terry Farrell said stuff about modeling and body dimorphism and stuff like that, dysmorphia, stuff like that, and didn't really talk about Deep Space Nine too much. She did back in the day, but not at this convention. But there's going to be a little tagline at the end of this: the Daxes will return. At the end of the third movie, the Daxes will return. What does that mean? Find out. Ha ha. I know what that is. Because you can do anything with a Star Trek multiverse story. They were. Oh yeah, stick to Star. Yeah, I want me to do stick to Star Trek. I'll do that. Yeah. No. Transformers and Star Trek. It's a wheelhouse. Yeah. But yeah, any idea that yeah, do what you like. Yeah, do what you like. Yeah. Don't care what the critics say. Yeah. Don't listen to that. If you do something you like, do what you like. It'll never hurt nobody. Yeah. I mean, don't do humor that's evasive. A little bit of the John Cleese humor was kind of mean spirited, and he didn't mind, and so was DiMaggio. But it's like, yeah, that's funny if you're famous and you got the ability to do it, and you're clever about it, then it kind of is, but it's still mean spirited. Yeah, sort of like some of the. And as Seth MacFarlane pointed out in one of his interview things, he said, I haven't been involved in Family Guy since 2013. It's been that long since he's been involved in Family Guy. Wow, really? Yeah, he hasn't done voices on that since then. Yeah, so after it got canceled and it canceled again, then he stopped and somebody else took over. That's not going to happen to Starship Locations. Nobody else has taken over from this. There is a marked card scene, though, in the second movie of this. There's two movies that I'm putting together. There's a marked card scene in there. He wanted to put the earbud scene in there. So that's his contribution to that episode. Earbuds. Yes, the scene with the concert where they sing the song, the Never-Ending Story song. I reshot that this morning. And I made it look better. It looks way better. Yeah, because you want that to be the finale of this. So this is the finale of this season. These two stories. There's 2 90-minute. We nowadays, instead of doing 8 episodes, which is too long, we do the equivalent of 3 TV movies. It was 6 episodes basically. Those are too long. Yeah. No, we wouldn't do. If we do another one, it's an addition, like the Distant Cousins one was a year ago. Or we just added an extra one on the end because that was a really good script. It was during that season was during Destinations. That was their Destinations, and yeah, I wrote that script during the writer's strike. Yeah, I got away with it, and I wrote it during the writer's strike. I really want to film this when half over. I'm going to film it, and I filmed it. Yeah, there's no plan to put any other Canary Space stories out. we've done some of the Starcrackers ones as legacy, but imagine any other Canary Spaces story would work. We've done some of the Space Time ones. We've already done those, but yeah, no other plans to do that. It doesn't mean that it's gone. I still own it. It's still mine. Just I haven't figured out how to do it. And Blessings Deferred with the Star Trek figures was moved to another channel, the Archive channel, because the family members were complaining about it for some reason, like stay in your wheelhouse, that kind of thing. Harkening back to that, and it was like what the Star Trek figures were annoying to you somehow. It was taking place 100 years ago. It's not relevant now. Yeah, it's maybe if it was rewritten as a sci-fi story, they would accept it. Yeah. And there's thousands of pages of mom emails and things from the mom stuff. We can't use any of those because they're current. People are alive in those. So instead of that, the legacy of the legacy stories, the Transformers ones as well, have elements of some of that. Not so much this season though. This season was more like, well, let's do some silly stories. Let's do the Iliop story, which was a very rare Next Generation set story. It was also an early generation set story. That one was they were there, and they scrubbed it from the internet at this point in a lot of places. You got to look for it now, but somebody had the script online at some point. It wasn't us. And a rundown of it. It wasn't us. We also had one. Because somebody else thought of the same thing. Teddy Ruxpin meets Star Trek. Be kind of funny. So we did that too. And now there's an episode about that. A giant Teddy Ruxpin spaceship. It just looks like one. They encounter it and they have to fight it. Of course they have to fight it. And that's Silly Trek. That's Silly Trek, the essence of Silly Trek. Picard LaForge is like the middle time period where horny teenagers writing about, be kind of dirty to write about, Picard and LaForge, ooh. Yeah, that's kind of what that is. And this latest one is the fictional adventures. When we got a little older and we're nostalgic for our past and decided, okay, we're going to do about our high school, even though we're not there anymore. That's this idea. Where you go from there, it kind of buttresses up against the evergreen stuff from earlier on in Destinations of the previous one. Destinations, yeah. Maybe Destinations. It's 2407 in that timeline, even though technically, if you were lining up the star dates correctly, it would be 2401 and 2402 now, not 2407. And the characters that play, that they're 23 or 24 or 25 in this, are actually, in reality, those four, the Abbeys and the Woods and the Emma, those characters in the Emogi in the story, they're actually 20. They're all about 20 years old. They're of age. They're 20 years old. All those characters in real life, playing slightly older. They usually don't do that in Hollywood. It's not them. It's characters. It's not them. Nobody's getting paid. That's one other thing that David Gerald was okay with back in the day. So, you're not getting paid for this. Nobody's going to take any money, and we're not going to sell it or anything. Buy it from. We bought the script from him, but yeah, we're not making any money. They're spending money. So it's I haven't come up with any Transformer stories lately. Mostly jokes about the movie. The '86 movie. The Transformers 1 will be out in September. Comment on some of the Transformers from this week. Was that last year? It might have been last year. Transformers Rise of the Beasts was it earlier in the year or last year? It might have been last year. Rise of the Beasts, that was basically all Transformers, much of the movie. It's fine. They cut my scene. It was in there. You can watch that online. You can go in there, and you can watch the Clint Cowpoke Busatron, Transitron, get his butt whipped by Optimus Prime. Well, let me see. It's right out of Trans the series. Not transsexual, but Transformers. Although it's in the name, Trans. But yes. Yes. Yes, there's a scene in which Optimus Prime fights a Decepticon version of Bussy Man. It's technically should have been Jail Bus Bot, really, because that'd be Kara. Transforms Jail Bus Bot. He's disguised as Bussy Man, but he's Jail Bus Bot. Transforms Bussy Man. Yes, the Bussy, the boy Bussy. No, that's not what he is. It's called that because he's Bus Man. Yes, Transiman, Transitron. And he fights Optimus Prime. That was I see. They cut it. It didn't need to be the movie. It kind of didn't need to be. It would have thrown it off. And, like just before the credits, he beats up on a transit bus Decepticon. A little strange. Yeah, it wouldn't have fit anywhere. It might have fit in the museum fight scene later on, but kind of. But yeah, I guess they just couldn't. They animated it. It's like, You'd be like, the Decepticons will win. No, they won't. Hi, Optimus Prime. See, the problem with Optimus Prime, some people have pointed out, current Optimus Prime in the movies, is he's a little too mean and kicking ass and stuff. The original Optimus Prime wouldn't have done that. Too mean, yeah. He's acting like a Decepticon. Would do that. He'd be heroic and fatherly and stuff, which is why in the '86 movie freaked a bunch of kids out when they killed him. He's the father figure of the series. Yeah, he's the groundswell of the series. It'd be like killing the main guy. It's like they wouldn't have cared if they killed Bumblebee or something. Surprisingly, they didn't. Just yeah. Well, they could go on a diatribe about the Transformers. Transformers 1, yes, is a bit different. We have an interesting racial and sexual, social dynamic going on. Sexual too. Robots shouldn't have gender, really. Mark Scar's pointed this out. They can be trans because they can be anything. They can just be built into another person and be a male or female. Change their voice box. But what he meant was, they're robots, so they technically don't need gender because they don't need to reproduce in the way we do. They reproduce on their own, so they're trans, but they don't need to be gender. So there's the Bud. They can go to Vector Sigma and have things created for them. They can use personality components. They can just build Dinobots randomly, do whatever they need to build, make new guys. So they don't need to procreate, so they don't need boobs, and they don't need genitals. They're robots. So the new one, having Megatron played by a black voice actor, and Optimus Prime played by a white voice actor, kind of sets a little racial dynamic there that wasn't there originally. Yeah, Peter Cullen and Frank Welker were white. I don't mind that. That's nice casting, but you're kind of setting up something that wasn't there originally with this character. Yeah, a precedent. So the white guy beating up on the Megatron that might seem a little weird at that point, if that happens. Just to be woke about that. But yeah, if you're okay with that, then okay. It's sort of like how Marvel wanted to have the Kang the Conqueror. One actor turned out to be a scuzzmuffin or something, a scum bucket, whatever. And he got in trouble with the law, and they had to cut him out because he turned out to be kind of dark, messed up. Yeah, and it's like they could have just recast him and done the Kang Dynasty story, but the Marvel people realized, this story arc isn't working anyway. It's part of the problem with ensemble story ideas. Partly it's because Kevin Feige. He's blaming the other guy before the new guy came back, the old guy came back. Well, the old director running the studio wanted him to do these more metaphysical, weird Marvel stories, and he just didn't really want to do those. You can kind of tell he didn't want to be there, especially with the Eternals. It's a mess. Yeah, they got an Oscar-winning actress director, but she doesn't know how to do. She doesn't know how to do fantasy. She doesn't know how to do action scenes at all. Well, why did they do that? They don't get somebody that knows how to do fantasy and action scenes. know how to do it. Get somebody that knows how to do that. But that's why that's screwed up. It's too long too. If I was going to edit the Eternals, so that it was less like Lord of the Rings, and less like Super Friends, but evil Super Friends, mirror Super Friends, I would and they were basically a riff of the Super Friends. That's what they were, the Eternals. But there's a Superman, there's a Flash, there's a Metal One, fucking Super Friends, obviously. So I was like, what I would have done is I would have cut out all the flashbacks and didn't do. Make this about them trying to stop the Eternal from the Celestial from activating the Celestialites in the Earth. There's your story. It's about 98 minutes long. If you cut out all the flashbacks, there. Nice terse little story about one of them betrays them and all that stuff. It works way better. Don't need the flashbacks. Just that one in the beginning where they go, oh, we're demigods. We fought off this thing. That's all you need. It's literally all you need. And the second time they show the deviant is when the girl gets betrayed. That's all you need. None of that other stuff. You need to be in there at all. Yeah. Would have been a better movie. Cut a lot of fluff out. And the 10 Rings was a little better because they kind of cut the fluff out. But even there, Marvel came out in the age of Vietnam and the Red Scare and all that stuff. So they had a lot of characters where they were all, in the 60s. Well, mainly the creators of Marvel and DC were on drugs because it was the 60s. And they tended to write stories that were very strange. Yeah. There was a character named Mary Jane. Come on, guys. Come on. Really? But yes, celestial creatures from beyond space that are doing whatever. Yeah, there's several people online doing whole Marvel backstory things, and they're just psychedelic, weird trip kind of thing. Like they don't know what that. They didn't know what they were doing. The multiverse is too confusing. The minds of the multiverse would have been better if they hadn't gone to all the other universes and just went to one. Then it would be easier to follow. The Multiple of Madness was just too much. The other ones were just too much. So yeah, it was too much. But what I was saying in the Vietnam era, so they had to like aliens that were basically reflections of that, kind of like Flash Gordon and Ming the Merciless, and the Klingons from the original Star Trek were clearly Chinese archetypes. They had a guy called the Mandalorian, the Mandarin. The Mandalorian is the Mandarin too, when you think about it. He's a samurai, but samurai guy. He's a samurai. So was Darth Vader. He's like an evil samurai. Totally what they're thinking of. The Japanese though, it's not them. But like the Mandalorian, the Mandarin. This is silly. That's very silly. And they couldn't do that now because they're like, oh yeah. So they didn't. So yeah, they couldn't do that now. Mandalorian. So they had the Mandarin. I keep saying Mandalorian. The Mandarin. It's not some kind of message. I just keep screwing up the name. There's no. I'm not writing the Mandalorian movie. No, nothing to do with that. I did not want them to write the Acolyte. That was a bad idea. Let's do a story that's a prequel to the origins of the Jedi. No. Anyway, so who cares? Not that big a deal for them to make a fuss about. The idea of a Kang the Conqueror. He was originally Chinese, clearly, and he was all like Kang the Conqueror, and he was like extremely racist, and he was like a super villain or something. It was like, guys, no, stop. It's almost as bad as Disney's Mulan in the 2000s, or in the 90s, and the remake. The 90s, where they mixed up their Asian cultures, and they had her putting on geisha outfit and paint. Yeah, because she totally would do that in China in the 7th century. Yeah. In China, a geisha is a courtesan of the court. In Japan, they're not related in any way. They don't need to become fairer because they already are fairer. Chinese are fairer than Chinese people. Japanese have a little bit of a tan. thought I was going to say something racist. Nope, they have a little bit of a tan. That's all. Well, yeah, there's nothing. Yeah, that was a myth. I'm not going to say. Also, they were, and Lindsay Ellis over there was going on about a movie that no one even cares about anymore, Raya the Last Dragon and Airbender. She was comparing it to the M. Night Shyamalan one, actually. So they got mad at her online. And yeah, those are comparable, but not the, as Mark Schwartz pointed out, not the cartoon. Because the cartoon wasn't really Asian. It was mimicking like an Asian cartoon, but it was the Samurai Jack people, so it wasn't technically that. And they disowned the M. Night Shyamalan one. That was her point. They disowned the Shyamalan. No, it's terrible. This is what we were doing. And it's like, well, they don't have superpowers anyway. So the only way the Raya thing is even remotely similar is that, oh, it's somewhere in Asia. But no, that's kind of its own myth too. It's mythology. It's where did that take place? And yeah, relatives in-laws from the cast were okay with Raya the Last Dragon and didn't mind that they got Southwest Asian and Southeast Asian mixed up. They didn't care. It's a cartoon show. But no, don't mix up geishas. That's really wrong. Ew. And as the lady reviewer, I think is gone now. The lady reviewer of the, just isn't posting anymore, that reviewed the live action Mulan said it's actually worse than what you were commenting about the geishas. In this one, they put them in geisha outfits too. And really make it bad. And they filmed by a concentration camp. Yeah, there's that. They probably should have not done that. Yeah. I didn't know they had concentration camps in China. Apparently they do. And they were filming next to one. Didn't know it. Yeah. That's messed up. Yeah. Yeah, so the Kang thing was a bad idea, and they should have never done it. At all. And now they're going, oh, Doomsday, and what's his face? And like, oh, it's Robert Downey Jr. from another timeline. Stop with the timelines. Please. No more timelines. We don't need that. Multiverse just doesn't, you don't know how to do it. I know how to do it, but you don't know how to do it. You do the way to do a multiversal story is you write a good story that just happens to be in the multiverse. And you don't hop through different dimensions and different timelines. You just do a good story in the multiverse, like this trilogy with the Legacy, where we discover near the end we're on this other planet. That's all you need. You don't need to over-explain it. They're just on this planet that happens to be in the multiverse. All right. Fine. Cool. Any new Transformers story, find in the multiverse. Some of them are complaining about Transformers 1, as it doesn't look like the original, and kind of its own thing. It's a multiverse. It's been a multiverse since G2 and the Cybernet Space Cube, Generation 2. It's been a multiverse since then. So, and Beast Wars. Beast Wars is clearly not in the G1 universe. It's clearly in its own, even though they meet the Ark and the ship. It's a similar one. Yeah. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to save them. Rhinox wouldn't have been able to put his head back together. They would have just died. They would have blown up the universe. But he stops it somehow. Well, that's because it's not the universe. It's another one. Time thing. He's able to screw it. Yeah. The Armada series is clearly its own thing. All the other spin-offs were clearly their own thing. And the new Star Treks are all their own thing. So you can have an Enterprise that looks conveniently more advanced and going out there. But, other caveat is, Starfleet Academy, if you're going to do it, make it a TV movie. I know you want to do it over there, Permanent, in Skydance. But don't make it a show. You don't have enough material for a show. You've already kind of done it with Strange New Worlds, having a cast that acts like Navy brats running around. You've already done that. It's Starfleet. You're just going to rehash that. Why? Anyway. So that's all I got. That's all I got. I'm just messing around. And I decided I would film that scene that I was messing around with, so that we get an idea for what the story after the finale is about. And I wanted to do the Wesley scene, so I did the Wesley scene. Next I'm going to do the multiple Kirks scene. Probably not tonight. I don't know what the other stuff is in there, but it appears that we have Holocat or Cal Hazel possibly, and we have the alternate Dulmer Paris guy, and we have Clint, the cowpoke character of Rick Conroy in that scene. So we have a sort of Robotech trio, but as Star Trek people in there, as well as the Cillian trio from RoboSilly kind of thing going on. Yeah. Anyway. Well, howdy. It's Clint Cowpoke. Well, or Cowcat. Yeah, I just watched two films here. I watched I watched the Assimilation of Eden, and I watched the other one, the Andover Incident. Yeah, the two of them together, and yeah, they made some edits and the changes. Very minor. They're great. I'm gonna post them tonight. Yeah, complete this season of Star Trek Legacy, which was totally yeah. This season was like the reception of last season was so big that we had to do another. So this season was mainly about indulging our senses on the set, doing stuff that was just, let's just do something ridiculous for the comeback season 2, because we usually don't do those. We usually completely like retcon the whole thing and do something else with some of the characters coming back and whatever. And during the summer, built a new ship, a leggy long ship, because some people are leggies. Some are leg men, some are butt men, some are boob men. and thought that'd be funny. Also, so the spaceship has long double inline row of warp engines, like the Aventine. The Aventine, very similar. They reference that, the Aventine as well. There's a little bit of footage of a sort of a commentary on a con thing on the end of this. Also include, I guess you include this in behind the scenes or after show or whatever. That there isn't really an after show for this because, well, it's kind of old news partly. So it's like, oh, it's an after show, but yeah, the events chronicled in the middle chapter here, the assimilation story, were events from in July, and the other story with the fictional adventures thing, the Mark's cards, and that came up with was what are you gonna do with the Piedmonts? What are you gonna do with Foster and Hollybrook and all that? You mentioned them a few times. Yeah, they were working on that. So on a story, there was going to be a fictional adventure semester's movie script. Wrote the movie script and wrote it as a Star Trek story. And said, we're going to do this. And it kind of feels like the convention story already, before the convention even happened. The convention was even announced. We have these two stories. We're putting them together, and in early August, before the convention was announced, and then the convention was announced during the filming, and then caught two bizarre different colds in the summer colds, and stopped production in the middle of part 2, and then in the middle of part 3. But also in the middle of part 3 was the convention, because it took that long. It took almost another month to put the others together. A little over a month to put the others together. So almost a month, because it was the 9th that they started production, 8th or 9th, on the two stories. So it was August 9th through August, just last, August 20th or so. So yeah, we did it, we finished it, but it seemed like it took a lot longer than we anticipated. Usually the fan films, though, don't take that long. Usually we crank them out, but maybe we just overdo it. Do just too many of them. And yeah, these two stories are fun. We get to revisit the Picard LaForge shipping stories. I get to revisit the Semester's fictional adventures. I think I mentioned this many times in the making of these two. But you don't need to know what those were. That was the point. Let's make a story that reintroduces us, the universe, to this shipping story. And the Starship Locations is a shipping story. Shipping. It makes sense. That's what it is. It's a fan film series where you're putting your Star Trek figures in the story where they would never come together, and there they are. So that's a shipping story. It's in the DNA. So doing a Picard LaForge would be the next step after meeting a giant Teddy Ruxpin. They're going to go fight the Loom and Cat Guy, which is a nod to Star Trek Prodigy Season 2, which is very meta because it's brand new. It's a nod that we like the Loom and the Super Wesley, the Space Wesley, and all that stuff. We want to throw that in there. It's a nod to that, and have. Of course, there's also a nod to that show finished the second season. There's also a nod to Lower Decks because Lower Decks captain Mariner is the captain on the ship, on the Starship Legacy. Right to see her ship. In terms of the canon, we built the model new during the thing in the middle of July, and the model was new and the devices were new, and we're going to film those. And I think we started doing. No, it wasn't until early August that we actually started officially. I think that's what it was. Late July, early August, on this one. No, the other one was, the other one was late July. That's right. No, Iliad story. So this one is mid to late July. It was like the 17th. So this one was later, and it was put out. And we decided, okay, we're gonna continue the Starship Legacy story. I'm assuming that Mariner's ship is new, and that all the stuff on it is a new ship, because I think they kind of reference that when they have the space battle in the Iliad story. It's a new ship. It's relatively new. The similar bridge to the one that the Chimera A redo from earlier, a couple months earlier. And we keep cranking these Leah's fan films out. Our stuff is now more prolific than the Spectre guy. Which is almost more. He did a lot of movies, but and like the Spectre guy in a similar way, we don't really have a cast. We have people that come up with ideas, and they give us ideas, and then we go. I film them, and and Mark Cards comes in on occasion and does a scene. In this one, he did a scene with the earbuds. That's in there. Previous one, the assimilation one, he did the scene where I believe that scene where the gag was that the ew was the different derogative, or not interrogative, and also the scene where LaForge goes, "I'm not just the queen, I'm the Borg queen." That sounds like something you'd say. But yes. So there's. I don't want to ramble on too much about these two, but they're good, and I like what they're good. They're funny. Some relatives might complain that I don't understand it. It's silly and dumb and whatever. It's supposed to be, and it's this point, and it's not super political. It's just about Star Trek people in the future. So why would it be political? That makes sense. Why date it? And they make fun of that in the story by having some of the characters be behind the times and mention a Batman at one point and other stuff like that, and Sam Raimi and stuff like that, and other things. Nostalgia chick is mentioned. It's like that was 10 years ago. It's like wow, that's a whole time ago. I was thinking the only way to further the Leo Starro stories after this would be to have Leo Starro discover the new ship's counselor is the Woods character's mother, who has come back as the temporary ship's counselor, and he's gonna get off on her, and he discovers who it is, He's like, that'll be kind of funny. That if that's the only joke, I don't know. But when I was at GalaxyCon last week, and got this inspiration for this scene where I didn't get to say it to Will Wheaton, who was there at the convention. I didn't get to say it. It would have been hilarious. And they made this little mini sketch on there about me walking up to Will Wheaton as a traveler and going, a fellow traveler, and going, Cristobal Rios is trapped here from 2024. It's 2024. You have to send him back to our timeline. Correct it. That would be a funny premise, but that's all there is. So yeah, this is the finale of Starship Locations Legacy. This just recently passed for this season. But there's always another season of something else. So that's perfectly all right. We're inspired by the other stuff and the con people, like convention people, like William Shatner was there, Robert Picardo, Will Wheaton, Esri died. Yeah, they had Nicole DeBauer, they had Michael Dorn, they had Terry Farrell, they had Gates McFadden, Ed Spleers, and they had Evan and Vigorio, the Romulan guy. So if you're going to do a story, it would involve them in something, and it wouldn't necessarily be that they borrow the Starship Legacy to go on a mission, although maybe they do. It wouldn't necessarily be that they go to Earth in 2024. That sounds more like an AdamaCon. Like they just go to an AdamaCon parody of the, like form parody of the thing, done all something like Phelan Portis' channel where he puts his action figures in front of the camera with his hands and goes. I could do something like that for fun, and it wouldn't be canon with this other stuff at all. I could do something like that, and that'd be cool. But it wouldn't be canon with Legacy. It would just be just for fun, screwing around. So, yeah, that's possible. But it would be sort of pseudo canon then, and it wouldn't be scripted, which is always dangerous with the Calicat story. As we discovered with some of our Transformers things during Transformers Legacy, one or two of those were just like, oh, we don't need a script. We'll just film it on the fly, and it was like, oh, it didn't work as well. It kind of didn't. That's one of the weaker episodes, is the one without script. It works, but it's weaker because it's like, oh, we kind of have to have an outline in the script and the story. So when you're writing a story, you kind of have to figure that out for yourself. I'm surprised though that in Hollyweird, that there aren't prolific writers like the Calicaster who can't just say, okay, the studio comes up and says, all right, I need you to write a story in 3 days. That's a movie, like a Marvel type movie or whatever, and then have it in 3 or 4 days and polish it, and we'll film it in 3 weeks or whatever, and we'll make a movie out of it. And they don't. Apparently the writers in Hollywood are well, not all of them, but some of them are scabs, and they're probably just getting paid a little bit, do whatever, and they don't want to pay an actual good writer at something. But yeah, I'm not saying my stuff's that great, but it is funny when you put it all together. It's fine, but yeah, it's on a level of definitely the dialogue's on a level of Kevin Smith easily. And I don't know why he doesn't want to write anything funny anymore. I mean, Clerks 3 was like, what was that? It wasn't funny. It wasn't half as funny as the second or the first one. Yeah. I was like, come on, he's my age. What's he doing? But yeah, it's like, so this is rendered, and download some other things. Oh, rendered and disappeared. But yeah, so that's done. All right, then. So yeah, now for the convention last week, I already did and have not yet posted an AdamaCon panel. I already did something like this. Came out, did the AdamaCon panel. Already addressed all this stuff in a future project. So that used to be irrelevant if I suddenly started going out about it again. So let's just assume that for now, I'm going to post these two, behind the scenes and the making, polished up the behind the scenes and the making so that it included the newer stuff, and also cut out anything that might be a little bit odd or out of place. There was nothing untoward; it was just odd and out of place. It didn't belong there. The stories are. The first one is under 90 minutes, and the second one just a little over 90 minutes. So, yeah, that's a little bit 86 minutes, 84 minutes, and 94 minutes. Something like that. So yeah, the two stories end the series. So that's there was a added scene where there was like I just left that on the cutting room floor. There was an added scene where Wesley shows up and goes, "Oh, the generation crew needs to be saved." No, cut that off. That doesn't need to be in there. No, this is the end of this season, and it's a little different. And the universe they were in was a little different. So it's a trilogy in this season. It was a trilogy of 3 movies, all of them about 90 minutes. And the trilogy was the Iota Leonis trilogy, or the Picard the Forge fictional adventures trilogy. Really, they kind of had elements of all 3 of those together. Fictional adventures trilogy for Star Trek. So you had your semester trilogy. Make it easier, semesters. You had your Iona Leonis story and the goofy space bear. They fight that, and then you meet up the bear guy who shows up, who becomes our surrogate for the character of the Teddy Ruxpin. This Leo Star guy. He's the evil Freddy Ruxpin Raxler type of guy on the ship. That's what he's supposed to be. Lothario kind of guy. And he's on the ship, and he's causing trouble. But yeah, in the same way as a late 50s, early 60s Raxler would be, he'd be doing this kind of stuff. But yeah, in a sense, he's that Starcrackers character. In a sense, in a way. And we were when we did Starcrackers, we were playing people that were 10 years older than us. Mark's Cards and I, we were playing people 10 years older than us. So we clearly, at the time, when we, in the 90s, didn't know what we were doing. What's it like to be like 30 or 35 or whatever? We didn't know what that was like. You know. But now we know what that's like. So it works out. 50 something. So anyway, so we have, you have your story, you have your darker middle chapter where they go to this board planet. They go visit a board planet. It's not the board planet, it's a board planet. Star Trek never officially said where the board planet was. We didn't either. This was a board planet, an alternate timeline they get pulled into. They go and visit the board planet, and it's being transformed by the aliens into partly other planets, like Lithia, and there's like another planet far out involved in there as well. And then they go on to another planet after that. They go on to this other planet, which is far out, which they finally go to far out. But again, they kind of mess with the timeline a little bit and say, this isn't quite our far out, this is another far out. This is Picard the Forge far out. This is the one that Marshall Sports found in the TMS stories. This is the one they found in the first TMS story. And so it is kind of a spoof of that trilogy of stories as well. You don't need to know that, though. But know that they did a retcon flashback thing. But in this one, it goes forward instead of flashback, and they solve things. Yeah, the alleged controversy in the story, isn't really technically one. It's there were adult counselor people at a camp that didn't know their boundaries and were told what their boundaries should be. That's basically what was going on. So yeah, like the mysterious Godfather and whatever and all that stuff. That didn't happen so much as in the story. It's a little more concise in the story. What actually really happened was the parents showed up. Yeah, that's what happened. Yeah, that's not as interesting. Changed a little bit. Also, they were kind of in on it. The characters that were doing controversy were actually flirty anyway. Adults, of course. And it was like, okay, you don't do that. Don't encourage them. And another thing they were doing was they overly apologetic. You get that often with younger people. They get overly apologetic about they back down, and then it encourages the Lothario to do whatever he wants. It's like, no, don't back down. It's like that song, don't back down. No, stand your ground, do your thing, close your boundaries. That's cool. That's what you should do. And then they respect you more if you stay where you are. Don't let anybody manipulate you. It's kind of the PSA message in the story. And don't let anybody tell you that it's wrong, deviant to be different. That's wrong too. That was a message of the semester story. The deviant planet, but is it really deviant or sinful? Like the guy points out, the cowpoke points out in the story, he's directing the story, puts himself in it. He goes, hey, yeah, Mary Sue. He's all like, well, one of the writers of the story is the Leo Star character in the story. Put himself in there and is humiliating himself, and he thinks everyone else is humiliating him, but no, he's humiliating himself. He's in on it. So, and he points out to him that it's not on this planet that they go to. It's not considered sin to be a little weird, deviant, and strange. It's not considered sin there. That planet is different moral compass. It's still a moral compass, but it's different. Yeah, and then we meet the alien, the blue lady, and we get to do that. That was just a nod to something earlier from the fictional adventures and semesters. A character we never got around to figuring out who that was that Foster kept dreaming about. And this story doesn't. It's almost a kind of a reboot of the fictional adventures. It kind of is. I mean, they're kind of saying, like, okay, what are they doing now that they're in their 40s and 50s? Like we've known these characters and written for these characters well over 30 years, as we should be really good at it. And it was really easy to write. So is it a spin-off? Is this the template for that Star Trek sitcom with Tawny Newsom's sitcom? No, but if she wants if Cal Cat to write for this sitcom, which I think is ultimately not a good idea, the fan fiction guy should not be writing for Star Trek. They'd be too involved with the member berries. But yes, a sitcom doesn't work. You can do an episode about that. The Risa episodes of TNG and DS9 were episodes. They went to the planet, they visited it. It's not enough to make a whole series about it. There's not enough there. It's like they can't make a Borg series. It's like that wouldn't be interesting. It's not enough about it. They've done that enough on Voyager and neutered them. But Starfleet Academy is kind of the same problem. They want to do the Starfleet Academy thing. Not enough there. And besides, do we want to see college students studying? No, it's not fun. Hey, we're going into the classroom and we're studying made-up science physics and stuff. That Star Trek would have to make it up because they'd have to come up with fake stuff. That's not going to work at all. And then it's just 90210. And then it's the 2009 Star Trek where they made Kirk captain way too fast. He's an ensign. Come on, what are you doing? Should be on the Farragut, and then there's a lieutenant commander, and captain. Yeah. But yes, but that's neither here nor there. And Section 31 is really not that interesting. There's going to be a movie. Understand they've made a movie, but the idea of the Section 31 thing, doing that is just not that interesting. What's interesting is when you take some of the characters and you find out there are changelings running around doing weird stuff, and some of your friends next to you are actually changelings and imposters, kind of like Among Us or something, and they're doing changeling. That's interesting, and that's something that got translated to Picard season 3, but they also received some of the other information that they kind of didn't get, and they made worse. Now, Mr. Metellus, yeah, I know your cameras can pick up low light. It's cool to be in the dark, but don't literally film the show in the dark. We want to see the actors on the screen. You can take the fan films and go through them and see that highlight the characters. You get to see them, because if this camera's not great handling low light, it's the 800, the Vixia 800. It's fine for what it is. You need a little light on the figures. I'm figuring, if you got to dim the light down like you did in the story, is it because the makeup doesn't look good? Because something must be wrong, because I want to see what they look like. I don't want to just see the silhouette of Worf's head walking around, silhouette of Riker walking around. I want to see what it looks like. Picard, why is the bridge so dark that the actors can't see what they're doing? I get the cinematic thing, and you can do that. You just have to like the actors. And if I can do that on a fan film series that I've been doing since 2019, I think you guys can figure it out over there in Hollywood. It ain't that hard. Come on, it ain't that hard. Light the guy in the foreground, and then so the background's a little dark. That's fine. Light the guy in the foreground, like you would, and you don't need big bright lights, because nowadays they have they have these LED light bulbs that they're not hot lights. They just look the right color. You see something. They're using bulbs in there that are some of those phony halogen lights. I think they're a little blue, actually. They make everybody look a little bluer, a little paler. Because when I take the pictures with the other regular light, this has the newer cell phone has a different aperture. Actually, I think it's more like a yellow, natural white light. So I don't know why they can't. Modern movies doing that a lot too. Like Oppenheimer, for instance. So it's got to be a thing. Some parts of Strange New Worlds are like that, but not all of it. When we go down to a planet, it gets dark again. Yeah, they need to, and they need to stop with the. I'm going to have the actor at the far end of the screen, half their head cut off, talking to the other actor, center of the screen. No, frame it so the guy is in the center of the screen, and the other guy is on one side of the screen, like soap opera. Don't put him way over on the side with half his head cut off, and he's all gigantic. It looks terrible. Don't film it like that. Unless it's an action scene, you can kind of get away with some of that, because the action scene, fisticuffs or something. But usually you don't want to do that. Anyway, so the fan film stuff. It's funny that at the convention, the Gorn stuntman was there. They got a ad thing on the wall there. The Gorn guy, Bobby Clark, was there. So if you're gonna do a story with just messing around, Bobby Clark and Kirk got to have a fight. Because they were in the same convention. There were some Silly Trek episodes where we visited a Star Trek convention, and you could just steal that and say the crew is in 2024 at a Star Trek convention. But don't call it GalaxyCon, because that's the real one. And because that would be dumb, and it would be paying homage to them. And although it was fine, it was an okay convention, we don't necessarily want to do that, because we're not sponsored by them in any way, or the actors. And you wouldn't involve the actors. You would say, okay, in the spoof it would be the characters, not the actors. If they run up to the actor, William Shatner, and go, Captain Kirk, no, don't do that. But it's funny that Will Wheaton disappeared and did not want to talk to people at his little table. It's kind of funny. He disappeared. He was a traveler. He traveled away. Then Shatner at the end didn't want to do the group shot. He took off. But I think it's because he's 93 and he had to go real bad. So he's like, if I keep pacing around, I've got to go to the head, the lavatory, the restroom. Denny Crane. Now, speaking of Denny Crane, he didn't Hasn't talked to James Spader in 20 years. I think you could call him up. I think you could. Oh well. He's all, James Spader, you were in that Calicat thing in 2015. No, he wasn't. I was imitating his voice. It was not really him. I can't afford real actors in the story. Did get a bit actor, Brian's Story. Yes, but he did it for free because it was only like 4 lines, so I do it for free. The great bird of the galaxy. Yeah. So yes, that's all it is for now. I think yeah. I'll see what that test footage looks like, but it is test footage, and yeah. After doing all of this for putting this together for the last 2 weeks, well, technically a last week to put it officially together, but filming it for months, over a month, I kind of want to break from it for a little bit, just after I post it and it's out, then I'll think about what I want to do next. I think it would be fun to include those Star Trek people in something again, and it would be legacy oriented. But yes, but all I've got is a joke about the Traveler meeting me as Cal Hazel, of course, and having to go find Rios. That's it. The other joke is the counselor lady happens to be Woods, and he thinks it's Abby, and he shows up, and he's like, "How did she get to be a counselor?" And he shows up and she said, "No, it's the mom who's a counselor." So, were you expecting someone else? That would be kind of funny. Yeah. But knowing how prolific I am, knowing how prolific the Calicatster actually is, knowing that I could write a 90-minute movie script in less than 4 days, I could come up with something pretty quick. But yeah, it wouldn't need to be, Shakespearean and overwritten. It could just be for fun, because yeah, it's the end of summer, early fall, fun. At this point, we're approaching September, so it would likely come out in late September or something, But yeah, but it would be a month after everything happened, like this one. You can't really do a story based on events that happened. Do a story, it tends to throw it off because it doesn't really go together. Yeah. So, and of course, the 2 times that Hideous Cold, the voice was completely destroyed, and it's all voice acting. So, couldn't do it for several days. That you physically could not do it. Yeah, if it's all voice acting, as John DiMaggio during the thing, the voice of Bender from Futurama, who was at the convention, said, "Yeah, if you get the con crud, I'll really be screwed." I don't want to catch that. It is funny that they got a pizza and gave it to Denise Crosby, but the guest people, so we ordered her a pizza. That's actually funny. But yeah, as for the Inglorious Trek experts, that name sounds both bizarre and twisted, because, spurt sounds like something else, and inglorious doesn't mean glorious. Inglorious means the opposite of glorious, like Inglorious Bastards spoof thing. That's what they're spoofing. But yeah, Inglorious Bastards reference the Italian giallo that was rewritten by and then refilmed by the guy by Quentin Tarantino. One of our contributors back there wrote the Mob Planet episode. That's right. Yeah. Well, not directly a contributor. Quentin Tarantino wrote a Mob Planet Star Trek premise that was about a paragraph long, and we filmed it. We expanded it into a 40-minute episode and filmed it. This season, we don't do 8 episodes, 40 minutes long. This season, the last couple seasons of Transformers Legacy as well, we filmed like a little 90-minute. We separated it into 4 23-minute stories, and made like a 90-minute, or 3 30-minute episodes, and made it a sort of a 90-minute story arc, and so it's 6 episodes technically, and then it'd be 9 because yeah. I don't know if that makes sense, but it would be 6 if they're 22 minutes long, and it would be 9 if they were. It would be yeah. No, wait a minute. Oh no, 6 if they're 30 minutes long, because 90 minutes, yeah, divided by 3. It's 3, so there'd be there'd be like 3 each, 3 episodes each. There'd be 3 episodes each for 3 90-minute movies. So, it's just easier to film 9 of them instead of. Did we make 9 of them? No, 9.5-hour ones. So before we were making them 45 minutes. Okay, before we were making them 45 minutes each, and then the episode would end. And now it's like they're 3:43. Yeah, 6. Why am I worrying about that? That doesn't matter. The point is, they're each 90-minute episode has 2 45-minute episodes. So if there's 3 90-minute episodes, there are 6 45-minute episodes. There we go. Math is not one of my things. Right. Yeah. Oh, autistic guy who knows math. No, I don't. I can't even split up 3 90-minute segments, 180 minutes into. Anyways, it's still a little hanging on there. What the hell? Anyway, so yeah, later. Excuse me, we are looking for a Wesley Crusher. Excuse me, we are looking for Wesley Crusher. Have you seen him? Excuse me, we're looking for Wesley Crusher. Have you seen him? Excuse me, we're looking for Wesley Crusher. Have you seen him? He's over there. He's over there. But he doesn't want to sign any pictures. He's over there, but he doesn't want to sign any pictures right now. He's over there, but he doesn't want to sign any pictures right now. He's over there, but he doesn't want to sign any pictures right now. He's over there, but he doesn't want to sign anything now. He's over there, but he doesn't want to sign anything now. He's over there, but he doesn't want to sign anything now. Well, that's okay. We're not interested in that. That's okay. We just want to ask him some questions. That's okay. We just want to ask him some questions. That's okay. We just want to ask him some questions. That's okay. We just want to ask him some questions. It's, of course, a temporal matter. Of course, a temporal matter. It's, of course, a temporal matter. Of course, a temporal matter. Very well. Very well, we will find him over there. Very well, we will find him over there. Very well, we will find him over there. Very well. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm not doing any pictures and autographs right now. Not doing any pictures and autographs right now. Not doing any pictures and autographs right now. I'm not doing any pictures and autographs right now. I'm not doing any pictures and autographs right now. That is not why I am here, Mr. Crusher. That is not why we are here, Mr. Crusher. That is not why we are here, Mr. Crusher. That is not why we are here, Mr. Crusher. That's not why we're here, Mr. Crusher. That's not why we're here, Mr. Crusher. Oh, yeah? What are you? Oh, yeah? Who 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 are you? We represent temporal investigations. You're a traveler like us. We represent temporal investigations. You're a traveler like us. We represent temporal investigations. You're a traveler like us. Yep. It seems that in this year... come on. Yep. It seems that in this year... Yep, it seems that in this year, yep, it seems that in this year timeline, you done left Cristobal Rios here and we're looking for him. Yeah, this timeline here, you left Cristobal Rios in this timeline. Seems that here in this timeline, you left Cristobal Rios behind. We come to get him. Yeah, it seems in this timeline, you left Cristobal Rios behind. We're coming to get him. Yeah, it seems in this timeline, you left Cristobal Rios behind. Come to get him. What? What? From my perspective, that was 2 years ago. What? What? From my perspective, that was 2 years ago. What? From my perspective, that was 2 years ago. What? From my perspective, that was 2 years ago. Timeline's all screwy, Dulmer. Timeline's all screwy, Dulmer. Timeline's all screwy, Dulmer. The timeline's all screwy, Dulmer. Yeah. Real screwy. Yeah, real screwy. Yeah, real screwy. Yeah, real screwy. Yep. Should we nab him and take him with us? Yeah, should we nab him and take him with us? Yeah, we should nab him and take him with us. Should we nab him and take him with us? You aren't putting on a sketch for a AdamaCon convention or something. You aren't putting on a sketch for the convention, are you? You aren't putting on a sketch for the convention, are you? You aren't putting on a sketch for the convention, are you? Fascinating. 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 No. No. Cristobal Rios may be here somewhere. You intend to find him. Cristobal Rios may be here somewhere. Gotta find him. No, Cristobal Rios may be here somewhere. We gotta find him. Nah, Cristobal Rios may be here somewhere. We gotta find him. Nah, Cristobal Rios may be here somewhere. Gotta find him. Uh-oh. 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 I think he's trying to distract us. 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 I think he's trying to distract us. Don't look now. The loom right over there. Don't look now. The loom right over there. Don't look now. The loom right over there. I don't see anybody. 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 Dog dag nabbit, he got away. 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 I'm gonna find him before it's too late. We gotta find him before it's too late. We gotta find him before it's too late. We gotta find him before it's too late. Cut.